Hello everyone. So I just finished the overstory by Richard Powers today. This was a reread for me, but I thought that while I'm at it, I could review this book because it's one of my favorites and I want to share it with you. So this book is basically about trees, but it's the way the story works is we follow 8 different stories, and they are 9 different people, but one of them is a couple. So there are 8 stories, and it's divided in different sections. The first section is roots, and in roots we learn the different stories, almost like short stories. And then the second section is trunk, and that's where all the stories come together to form one narrative. And then the crown is when they separate again and they go their different ways. And then finally seed talks a little bit about what the effects of all of this is. So it follows the same structure as a book in a story. And the different stories are all connected to trees. So there is, for example, a woman that studies trees as a scientist. There is a computer genius that creates a game about trees. There is a man that makes tree art because his family for generations were taking care of this one tree. There are many different stories like that. And I have heard from many people that not all stories were equally strong, so that's one of the things that they didn't like about the book, that they didn't connect to all the stories. But I think that is intentional actually. We don't spend the same amount of time with all the people. There are people that we spend more time with, and there are people that we spend less time with. And also some characters have more of an arc, and some characters have less of an arc in this story. So I think that that is intentional. I mean, it makes sense. Not all the roots of a tree are equally important, and not all are equally big. So in that sense, if we are thinking of the stories of these people as different roots for this event, not all of them have the same weight. And yeah, I think that so this story, these people are connected to trees in a different ways, and then in the middle section it all comes together in a certain event that is related to trees and the protection of trees, and then that gives way to different events that these people have to go through. So, and I don't want to say too much because I guess spoilers, but yeah, the events themselves are important, but it's not the most important part of the book. I think for me at least, the most important part of the book is the topics that it touches, and it touches a lot of topics, and also the language is just beautiful in itself. So I think that's also worth mentioning. So yeah, what are the topics in this book? The first one, I think it's obvious, is the environmental aspect of it. The fact that trees have been there for so long, and we should take care of them because they are essential for our survival. And I wanted to read you a couple of quotes about that. So this one is about the woman that became a scientist for trees, and says, "Angry people who hated wildness took away her career. Frightened people mocked her for saying that trees send messages to each other. She forgives them all. It's nothing. What frightens people most will one day turn to wonder. And then people will do what 4 billion years have shaped them to do. Stop and see just what they're saying." So that refers to the fact that we don't see nature. Like, a lot of environmental struggle is for what plants are worth for us, or trees, or animals, beings, but a lot of it is also just because it's beautiful. Like, we should keep trees and forests because they are beautiful and they're amazing. And then not all of the characters are into the environmental mindset. So, for example, there's this couple, and this is what it says about them. They are not hard to find. Two people for whom trees mean almost nothing. Two people who, even in the spring of their lives, can't tell an oak from a linden. Two people who have never given woods a second thought until an entire forest marches for miles across the stage of a tiny black box theater in downtown St. Paul, 1974. And I think also from these quotes you start getting a sense of the beauty of the words, and how he's able to connect words to make just simple but beautiful at the same time. And then finally, in the environmental side of things, I wanted to share this quote. This is from the end of the books, but I think it doesn't matter. It's not spoilery or anything. It's just about how we see trees and how trees see us in a way. And there is one little section of this in every section. So, for example, this is the section seeds, and this it's in italics, and this is like what nature thinks of us, and then it starts the story. So in that section of outside humans, it says, anatomically, modern man shows up 4 seconds before midnight. The first cave paintings appear 3 seconds later, and in a thousandth of a click of the second hand, life solves the mystery of DNA and starts to map the tree of life itself. By midnight, most of the globe is converted to grow crops for the care and feeding of one species, and that's when the tree of life becomes something else again. That's when the giant trunk starts to teeter. So yeah, I just find this language super beautiful and super effective. Like, it doesn't make the story complicated, it just makes it beautiful. But yeah, that's not the only thing the only topic that is there. There's also a lot of connections drawn from, I guess that if you connect the aspect of people not appreciating the nature around them, you can also see how that connects with the capitalist mindset, and that we always have to grow and grow and grow for no apparent reason other than growing. And that is also something that comes up again and again in this. And there is in the big event, basically it involves a wood company, and how before they were trying to be sustainable, so they cut trees in a very low rate so that they could regenerate themselves, but at some point they just cannot compete anymore, and they have to sell it to a company that will just maximize profit. And that maximization of profit and growth for the sake of it's very big topic here. And I wanted to also share some quotes that talk about that. So this one was about some activists that were trying to save some trees, and one of the characters asked him, like, why are you doing that? People think you're crazy for being such radical environmentalist. And he says, we don't make reality, we just evade it so far by looting natural capital and hiding the cost. But the bill is coming, and we won't be able to pay. So yeah, that refers to how we cut trees, and we think that it means nothing, and it's super radical to say stop cutting the trees. This is very prevalent. And also another thing that I liked that this discussed is that we often think, even the people that are aware and want to keep and conserve the natural places, they think that it is completely necessary for us to actively conserve them in the way of taking care of the forest, not just like taking care of the people that want to destroy the forest, but taking care of the forest themselves. And there was this quote here: improve forest health, as if forests were waiting all these 400 million years for us newcomers to come cure them. And I guess that connects also with the quote at the end about how insignificant human life is in the grand scheme of things, and how we always think that it's the most important thing because obviously we're human, but it's not that important. So yeah, I love that. So those are the main topics that ran over the book. There was also this small feminist things that I also liked. The scientist in this is a woman. Her name is Patricia, and she talks. It's a very small line, but I really liked it. She talks about how one of the first things that she thought when she got her PhD was like, oh great, now I can use the title of doctor so that I don't need to say that I'm a woman and I don't have to give my marital status to everybody all the time. I can just use the title of doctor, and then nobody will know until they meet me. And that is funny because that's exactly what I thought when I got my PhD. It's like, okay, now I can use the title of doctor. Doctor is not gender. Doctor doesn't mean that you have to give your marital status. Why do we do that still? Like, why is it important for people to know if women are married or not? And why is it important for them to know if they are female or male when they get an email from work asking them for, I don't know, filling a form or something? So yeah, that's something that I appreciated, and it's a small thing, but I thought it was worth mentioning. But yeah, overall, I think that it's a great book, and yeah, it touches in so many interesting and important topics, and the writing is just beautiful, and I understand the criticism that not all stories are equally engaging. I think also at the very end maybe it can drag for some people. I enjoyed it either way, but I can understand that it's slower. Then the ending is quite slow from where you will say the peak of the story is until the end. It is slow, so I will understand that maybe it's not for everybody, but I think you should still give it a try because the writing is beautiful, the story is beautiful, and the message is very well thought and very powerful, and also the structure is amazing, like the way that he connects everything back to trees. It's amazing. So yeah, highly recommend and pick it up.